Hey, folks, so glad you could be here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I'm having a wonderful day. It's always fun when I come here to the studio. I'll stop by folks. I'll see people in advertising and the bosses, and I always say, "How you doing?" And they say, "You're always in a good mood. I've never seen you in a bad mood, Dr. Joe." And I said, "Well, I pretty much usually am in a good mood. It takes a lot to get me in a bad mood. It's usually people doing stupid things that puts me in a bad mood. But generally speaking, I'm in a pretty good mood." And one of the people I was talking to in marketing today, she said, "Oh, I looked at your book. It's great. I love your book, blah, blah, blah." She said, "Do you really eat like that?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. I have for about 30 years now." And she said, "Is it hard?" And I said, "Actually, it's so much easier than what most people are doing. But most people are so trained, you're so used to doing something that you just can't get out of that mode." So one of the things I want to talk about today, and probably the only thing I talk about today because, time flies when you're on radio, is I want to give you some quick weight loss tips. Because for my age, I'm in my mid-50s, I run circles around the 20-year-olds in many cases. And it's not that I have some special genetics. It's not that I have some wonderful gift or I take some special, I have some special passed-down secret from my family. It's that I just take care of myself. And one of the things that people come to me all the time with is, how do I lose weight? I need to lose weight. How do I lose weight? Sometimes it's a lot of weight. Sometimes it's a little weight. Because in our society, in the United States right now, we have diseases of excess. And I know this show is heard all around the world, so I'm sure some other countries are going to be listening to this going, "Yeah, you're right. You do have diseases of excess." What does that mean? It means we have diseases from too much stuff. We have too much electronics, and that's around the world now too. And now people are dripping their heads down, looking at their computer, and it's developing neck problems. I'm a chiropractor. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, double board certified in nutrition, a BS in nutrition. I've been practiced 32 years now. And when I first started in practice, I didn't see a lot of the things I'm seeing now. And one of the things I'm seeing is text neck, it's called. And when you text neck, because you have your head down, texting all the time. And so what can we do about that? Well, we can try to not bring our heads down, but again, it's a disease, not really a disease, a condition of excess. Everybody has excessive access to cell phones and the internet. And so when it comes to food, we also have diseases of excess. And so when, one of my coworkers asked me today, she said, "Do you really eat like that?" The answer was a resounding yes. And it's so much easier once you learn how, and so much cheaper. One of my coworkers, he's a wonderful man. I always try to bring in little snacks and have people try different things. And today I brought in kale chips. And he's very much fiscally responsible. And I said, "You want to try this?" And he says, "I'll try it." And he did. And he goes, "I wouldn't eat these unless I really knew it was good for my health." I said, "Okay." And but he tried it. And I appreciate the fact that people will try different things and say, "Okay, I like this, I don't like this." But once you learn and pick the things that you like that are good for you, it's real easy. So don't be turned off to good food just because you tried, tofu one day, and you said, "I didn't like it." Well, you might not have liked it the way it was prepared. You might not have been in the mood that day. Open your mind. You ever watch Phantom of the Opera, right? Open up your mind. And it's a line from, I'm not going to sing Phantom of the Opera, okay? But one of the lines from Phantom of the Opera is, "Open up your mind, let your fantasies unwind." And open up your mind and try new things. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Don't have it again, but then try something new. And that's what happens when it comes to weight loss. Because so many of us are trained to do the same thing over and over again. You wake up in the morning and you have coffee and you have a bagel. And for snack, you have, a Danish. I was in the studio the other day. Somebody had put a big sheet cake out and people were eating the sheet cake. And then for lunch, you go out to lunch and you have a burger with fries, and maybe you'll have a drink or you'll have a milkshake. And then for dinner, you'll go home and you have steak and potatoes. And you're trained to do this. So if I can just untrain you and eat better foods, you're not going to have to worry about weight loss anymore because it's going to go away. One of the things I do, one of the secrets I do to maintain my weight is I do something called intermittent fasting. Now, it's not just to lose weight. It's to really help my body function more efficiently. And what it is this, and I'm going to say what it is, and you're going to think, "I can't do that." And then you're going to try it, and I'm going to challenge you. I want you to try it for 3 days, any 3 days in the next 2 weeks. Try this. And after the third day, you're going to say, "I can do this." But no one's ever had you do it before. And what you do is you skip a meal, preferably dinner. So when you have lunch, 12, 1, 2 o'clock, whatever it is, don't eat again till 7 o'clock the next morning or 8 o'clock, whenever you'd have breakfast, 6 o'clock. Because what happens is when you eat a meal, that meal is being digested. So on average, we're looking at about, 8 hours. After 8 hours, your body, and this is simplified, of course, becomes a fat-burning machine. But if you keep putting food in every 8 hours, even if it's healthy food and good food, the body never gets to go into that fat-burning mode. And so you really have trouble losing weight. You're struggling. But if you give your body that boost, that's when you start to see some changes. A lot of people come to me and say, Dr. Joe, I've lost a lot of weight and now I've hit a plateau. And no matter what I do, I exercise, I'm eating broccoli and it's not helping. What do I got to do? What I tell them is, what you got to do is reset the computer, so to speak. You reboot, and you reboot by doing something called intermittent fasting. You'll feel better. You'll go to the bathroom better. You'll sleep better. Your love life improves. Your memory improves because your body is now burning fuel more efficiently. And so, again, lunch, skip dinner, drink water. Don't worry about, don't dehydrate, and just wait till the next day. Now, what I do is whenever I have an intermittent fasting day, and I do it about twice a week, I try to plan something not to go home. Because if I go home, I fall back into my old habits. And the old habits are what? Well, I have dinner. Maybe I'll go out to dinner. Maybe I'll, go on a date. I'll meet my friends. I'll go home and make dinner. But after work, I'm trained to have dinner. So I break my routine. I'll go shopping. I'll go, and you might not want to shop for food the first couple of times you try this because it's really tempting. And then go home. I usually go to bed around 10 o'clock. Okay. Hang out, 9 o'clock, start flossing, get ready for bed, watch TV for a little bit, go to sleep. You'll be amazed. After you do it for the third day, you'll go, I know I'm hungry, and it's uncomfortable to be hungry, but it's not bad, and the benefits far outweigh the discomfort that it causes. So give it a shot and see. I think you're going to be very, very pleased to get your body back on track, not just for weight loss, but to get your body actually healing. Now, I have that in my book. My new book is called Prescription for Extreme Health, and that's one of the chapters I have in my book on intermittent fasting because it's one of the things that as you get into really advanced health, these are some of the things you can do. And it's pretty cool. I promise you're going to feel really good. So we're talking today about quick weight loss tips. That's one. That's an extreme one. I started out pretty extreme. I grant you that. But I want you to try it. Just skip dinner. It's just that simple. Oh, by the way, you'll save a ton of money because you're not paying for dinner. Whether it's home or out, you're going to save a ton of money. And so you'll feel better. And after a few days, you start to feel really good about it. And one of the things that happens, and I don't want you to fall into this trap, is when you go into this fasting mode, you start to feel really good and you start to feel a little high, actually. And I don't want you to get hooked on that high because that can lead to an eating disorder. Now you're thinking to yourself, I will never have an eating disorder. You are a silly man, Dr. Joe. Not the way I eat. But when you start getting high, just like you get high from chocolate and sugars and food, you start getting high from not eating. And you think, I really like this feeling. And experience the fact that you're starting to feel good. And then you'll cut down on your food consumption. And the nice part is that the less you eat to a point, studies are now showing the longer you're going to live. So when you do eat good food. But especially as you get older and you have real trouble losing weight, try this intermittent fasting. I think you'll like it. And it's in my new book, Eating Right for the Health. No, that's my old book, Eating Right for the Health of It. My new book is Prescription for Extreme Health. And those are on my website, which is drjoeesposito.com. Another thing you have to do to lose weight is you got to get rid of the high fructose corn syrup out of your diet. It's got to go. And the reason is this. Corn syrup is extracted from corn. That's why it's called corn syrup. And it's not and never has been healthy. Don't be fooled by marketing gimmicks. Now, corn is also genetically modified in most cases. Now, if you don't know what genetically modified is, you should. You may see signs on food sometimes that say GMO-free, and you thought, I don't know what a GMO is, so I don't care if it's free or not. GMO means genetically modified organism. So a GMO, genetically modified organism, is when we alter the DNA of corn, soy, rapini, which is also called broccoli rabe, any plant, and we alter it to do one of two things. One is we can spray more weed killer on the plant and not kill the plant. So kill the weeds around the plant, but not the plant. Or two, the plant itself starts producing toxins that if it's eaten by a bug, one of the things that can happen is the bug's stomach explodes and the bugs die. So one of two things happens with genetically modified foods. Either one, we're altering the natural state of the corn, of the soybeans, of the broccoli rabe, of the sugar beets. And so now we have a protein that you and I as humans, any of us as humans, have never seen. And so now we're exposing ourselves to a protein we as humans have never seen. That becomes an issue, because your immune system might respond to it in a hyperactive way and overreact to this protein, and the body starts attacking these proteins and can now start attacking your own body, creating an autoimmune condition or an autoimmune disease. Not a good idea. So I strongly advise you stay away from GMO food. Corn and soy are the big ones. Canola oil is made with broccoli rabe or rapini. It's also oftentimes genetically modified. Other foods are coming onto the market. They have genetically modified salmon now. Have you heard about this? This is a kicker. Go off subject for a second. They genetically modified salmon to make them 2 or 3, I think 3 times bigger than regular salmon. Well, the problem is they're also very aggressive, and they will attack and kill other salmon. So right now, the salmon are being raised in pens, and it's supposed to be in scientific places. But the theory is I can grow bigger salmon faster, and we can sell more salmon. Eventually, I predict, these salmon are going to escape. They're going to get into the wild. And when they get into the wild, they're going to start mating with regular salmon and start attacking other salmon. So some experts, depending what you want to call an expert, are now saying that our generation right now are the last generation to ever actually eat real salmon, because we could annihilate the natural salmon population with these genetically modified salmon. It sounds like a horror movie. It kind of is. So if we can grow something 3 times as big and more aggressive, it's not the same as a regular salmon. It's not the same as regular corn. It's not the same as regular soybeans. And so I'm not a fan of genetically modified food. High fructose corn syrup, I would venture to guess, is almost always, I don't know 100%, probably is 100%, made with genetically modified corn. What does this have to do with weight loss? Fructose converts into fat and stores quickly in your body, which is why it's frequently used in animal experiments to make animals obese. So if we got to get an animal fat fast, I don't know, like let's say a cow, what can we feed it? Let's feed it corn and soybeans. If it eats grass, it takes a lot longer to grow. That's what I showed the other day on one of the nature channels on Kobe beef. You know what that is? These cows are raised, they're massaged, they're fed natural diet, they're allowed to grow very slowly. And when they grow slowly, they have a lot more fat in their muscle. It's marbling, it's called. And the beef, supposedly, I've never had it, is extremely tender and extremely delicious. In fact, there's a burger place they were doing a show on in New York City, and they charge $49 for a hamburger. And they're interviewing the people in the restaurant, is it worth it? And they're like, oh yeah, this is off the chart amazing, this is delicious, this is great. I don't eat meat. I haven't had meat in over 30 years. But they're saying how delicious this meat was because the cow was raised, ironically, the way it was supposed to be. And that's why I kind of walked away from watching that show going, isn't cows supposed to eat? Aren't cows supposed to eat grass and water and exercise and be treated nicely? And so when cows are treated the way they're supposed to be, supposedly the meat's a whole lot tastier. But back to corn. When we feed them corn and soy, they get fatter a lot faster. And so now you're absorbing all these toxic chemicals from the corn and the soy that is sprayed on the corn or soy that naturally occur. And so when high fructose corn syrup is added to food, which is where? Everywhere. It's manufacturers use it because it's cheap and it's sweeter than sugar. You get into your body, and it does several things. High fructose corn syrup causes your body to stop producing something called leptin. Leptin is a hormone that's produced in your stomach. It goes up into your brain and tells you that you're full. Ghrelin is a hormone that's produced in your small intestine that goes up to your brain, your hypothalamus, and tells you that you're full. So now we got a pickle going on here. You're eating high fructose corn syrup, you're not feeling full, and you're feeling hungry. More hungry. And so you eat more. And what happens with sugar is this. Fructose has to be converted into glucose. Regular table sugar is half fructose, half glucose. The glucose is used as fuel. The fructose gets converted in the liver into glucose to be used as fuel. In the process of converting fructose into glucose, we produce something called uric acid. Uric acid gets in your joints and it hurts. I'm a chiropractor. I deal with pain management 7 days a week. So one of the things when patients come into our offices is I say, listen, I want to give you the best chiropractic care my team of doctors and we think we can deliver to you, but you're going to have to help us. Because if you're doing things like high fructose corn syrup, you're producing uric acid, which is getting into joints, and it hurts. Uric acid prevents the body from producing nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels and helps with circulation. Not only circulation to the brain, to the reproductive organs, if you get what I'm saying. This is a family show. Your arms, your legs. And so if you're eating high fructose corn syrup and a lot of fructose, you're not getting good circulation because you're not producing nitric oxide because too much uric acid, which also gets in your joints and it hurts. So we went one direction and then the other. Follow that? See how I did that for you? So I really want you to stay away from high fructose corn syrup because it can really put on weight. Now, as a chiropractor, I want to be your doctor. My team of doctors and I would love to be your doctor. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. So if you have an issue, back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, arm pain, chances are it's from a pinched nerve. It could be from fructose as well and uric acid buildup. But in our offices, we work on the nervous system. We work on your digestive system, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. We're really good in most cases of resolving that. And then we work on your diet. So if you want to come see us, we accept everybody with insurance, not insurance. If you'd like to make an appointment, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world, and we'll set you up a time to come see us. Again, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. So if you want to make an appointment, there's two rules. Number one, if you make an appointment, you got to show up because we're going to reserve time for you, and don't take that time away from somebody else. And number two, I want you to be ready to get well. Because we're probably going to recommend something. And you may not do everything I say, and I get that. You'll eventually listen to me, but not yet. But I want you to be able to do something. So if you're ready to get well, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're ready to make some changes, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world, and we'll set you up a time to come see us. Now, on the website, we archive radio shows. You can send me questions through the website. You can get my supplements, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are there, and other supplements, too. But really, go to the website, learn a lot, and then set up a time to come see us, drjoeesposito.com. So as we talk more about fructose and high fructose corn syrup, it really is a dangerous thing for many reasons. It messes with your hormones. It makes you hungry. It causes your liver to create uric acid. It prevents nitric oxide production. And so all the glucose that you have goes into the cells. The cells use it. Once the cells can't use any more glucose, the glucose goes back into your liver and creates something called glycogen. Glycogen is where we store glucose, so to speak, for energy. It's your reserve tank. Once all your glycogen stores are filled up, your body takes that glycogen, converts it into triglycerides, and sends it to the fat cells. This is why sugar makes you fat. Isn't that cool stuff there? Sugar is making you fat because of what you're doing there. So I want you to cut out the sugars, and especially the high fructose corn syrup. All sugar is bad. High fructose corn syrup is worse. What's worse than high fructose corn syrup, which is 55% fructose, 45% glucose? Agave nectar. Now, if you're into health food, you've probably heard that agave nectar is the end-all, be-all, greatest thing in the world because what it does is it doesn't spike your blood sugar, and so you can use it, and it's great. Well, the reason it doesn't spike your blood sugar is because agave nectar is 85% fructose. And that fructose isn't going into your blood. It's going into your liver to be converted into glucose to eventually go into your blood, producing more uric acid, getting in your joints and causing pain, and preventing the body from producing nitric oxide, which opens up your blood vessels for circulation to every single part of your body. Wow. So just because something is touted as a health food, that doesn't mean it is. This is why you need to listen to my shows, because I try to debunk what's going out there. I try to tell you the truth of what's going on because my job, my whole purpose in life is to help you naturally get well and stay well. That's why I treat patients after all these years in practice, over 3 decades. I still see patients. Why? Because I have to let people know that they have to get well and stay well if they want to have a good, successful, and happy life. So when you eliminate high fructose corn syrup, you reduce the likelihood of experiencing a lot of the dangerous side effects of genetically modified foods. When you eliminate high fructose corn syrup, you're also going to regulate your blood sugar, your triglycerides, which are two important facts in what? Your heart and your arteries. And you'll also dramatically reduce your chances of suffering a heart attack or a stroke. So, I had a patient come in the other day. We were chatting, and everyone tells me their tale of woe. I've never had a day that goes by that somebody isn't telling me their tale of woe. Well, doc, I had this, I had that, I had cancer, but no one ever told me what to do. Like, for example, if you have your gallbladder removed, there's a chance that you're going to have a higher rate of heart attack because you're not digesting your fats properly. Well, no one ever told you that. So no one ever said, hey, listen, if you're going to have your gallbladder removed, and sometimes that's necessary, let's talk about a dietary regime. No one ever said that. Well, gosh, I had cancer, and I beat cancer. Man, that's awesome. Man, I had chemo, and I had surgery, and it's great, and I beat cancer, and I have no problems with you doing that. I support you in that if that's what's necessary. However, if you go back to the habits that you did that caused the cancer to start to begin with, guess what? It's a recurrence. And sometimes people just think it's like this miraculous thing where the Virgin Mary comes down from heaven and says, I'm going to make this happen, and it happens. No. Many times recurrences of diseases are because you went right back to the lifestyle that caused it the first time. If I burn my hand on the stove and my hand heals, if I touch the stove again, you know what happens. So why not stop doing the things that are causing you to get sick? You know, we talked about high fructose corn syrup as being one of the reasons why people are getting so fat. Another thing that's causing people to get so fat, I used to be fat, folks, so I can say the F word on the radio, is artificial sweetener. And so many times patients come into me and say, well, Dr. Joe, I don't drink regular soda. I drink artificial sweetener. And I was told by an expert, again, I don't know what that word means, I was told by an expert that I should be drinking artificial sweetener because I have diabetes or I'm overweight or I have high cholesterol or, oh my gosh, nothing could be further from the truth. And I propose this question to you. Once again, I hit you with logic. If it worked, if doing artificial sweetener worked, why isn't every diabetic not diabetic anymore? Why isn't every fat person skinny? Why isn't everybody with heart disease and high blood pressure and high cholesterol off their medications if just cutting out sugar and switching to artificial sweetener solved the problem? It's never worked, and it never will. Just because diet sodas, let's say, have 0 calories doesn't mean you're not going to gain weight. One of the sweeteners they use is called sucralose. Study conducted by Duke University, published in a Journal of Toxicology and Environmental Health, found that sucralose is absorbed by fat cells, contrary to a lot of manufacturers' claims, the research that they put out originally, which causes the increase in body weight. It reduces the amount of beneficial bacteria in your intestines by 50%. I got to say that again. The sucralose can reduce the amount of beneficial bacteria in your intestines by 50%. Now, there are studies that show that fat people have different colon bacteria than skinny people. And so they've done this now, and it seems to work. I think it's pretty weird. We can take skinny people's fecal matter out of their intestine and implant it in fat people's intestines and recolonate the fat person's intestine with skinny people's bacteria, and they'll lose weight. The problem is, like we just said, if you continue doing what you did initially, what's going to happen is the fat person is going to kill off the good bacteria, and they're going to start gaining weight again. So A, we have to fix the cause of your problems, and B, we have to stop you from doing the thing that caused it to begin with. So as a chiropractor, my job is to find out the cause of your pain, your neck pain, your back pain, your shoulder pain, your digestive problems, and then try to fix the cause. So folks, if you'd like to come see us as a patient, we would love the opportunity to have you come see us as a patient. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. You can call the office, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number 1 Dr. Joe in the world, and you can make an appointment. We accept everyone, insurance. And if you don't have insurance, we still accept people without insurance. That's okay. We're not biased. Even if you don't have insurance, we still work with you. And you can make an appointment. A car accident, sports injuries, workers' comp injuries, headaches, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. We want to get you out of pain, but we also want to fix the nervous system because the nerves control your organs. So it's not just pain we're working on. It's actually getting the body healthy again. And we can work a nutrition workup on you, check your digestive system. So if you want to make an appointment, go to my website right now, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. You can call us if you want to, or you can make an appointment right online. Folks, got to go to a break. A lot more about tips on how to lose weight. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I know you're all so busy, but I appreciate you doing this to spend a little time with me, because I want you to walk away from every show thinking, wow, I learned so much today about my health. I'd never heard this before from anyone. And most people say, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I hear this sooner? Why didn't somebody tell me this sooner? Had I known this 2, 5, 10, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have done what I did, but I thought I was right. Or I didn't know I was wrong. So today we're talking about little tips that you can do to help lose weight. And so we're kind of debunking a lot of myths that you might have heard about losing weight. And one of the things I want to talk about a little bit more is artificial sweetener. Specifically, we're going to start with sucralose. Now, sucralose can actually cause you to gain weight because it stimulates what's called your estrogen receptor sites, which is not good. Estrogen receptor sites cause your body to act like it has estrogen in it. Estrogen causes you to lay down fat. Fat becomes a living, breathing organ and starts producing estrogen. So this is one of the catches about losing weight, is that when you're fat, you're producing a lot of estrogen. And estrogen is causing you to be fat, which is causing you to produce estrogen. So you're kind of stuck in this cycle. And so you got to break that cycle. So you can stop putting things in your body that stimulate your estrogen receptor sites. Well, what would that be? Well, sucralose being one of them. It's artificial sweetener, the yellow packet usually. Artificial scents, perfumes, hairsprays, carpet cleaners, air fresheners, new car smell. All these chemicals are toxin. They're called endocrine disruptors, and they mess with your hormones, your endocrine system. I've noticed that there's a whole cottage market now in the plastic surgery industry of what's called gynecomastia removal. Gynecomastia is when men start to develop female breasts or female-looking breasts. And so there's a whole cottage industry that's popped up where surgeons are going in and trying to fix that. Well, the reason most of us believe that this is happening is that men are being exposed to estrogen compounds that they never were exposed to 20, 30, 40 years ago. The danger of that is, I'm frightened. There's a Moody Blues song, and the line from the song is that I'm frightened for your children. And I really am. I'm frightened for your children because when I was a kid, we didn't have all these chemicals and steroids and pesticides and herbicides and tranquilizers and endocrine disruptors and genetically modified foods. And now it's not everywhere. It is everywhere. I'm sorry. It's not just some places. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. And so you can't get away from it. I can't get away from it. Walk through the shopping mall. You walk past those stores that have those beautiful smells, right? They smell like bathrooms, and they have places where they sell bathroom stuff. And, oh, my gosh, I love the smell of that lavender and that strawberry and that peach. And those are all endocrine-disrupting chemicals. It's not real peach. Peach doesn't smell like that. Strawberries don't smell like that. And so you got to be careful because these kids today are being exposed to a ton of toxic chemicals. So removing the endocrine disruptors from your life the best you can makes a big difference. I was at the studio and the other day, and half the people in the studio were sick here at the studio. And it was funny. I walked in. I said, do I own the place? Am I doing news, weather, and sports now, too? Am I going to cover everything? Because everybody was out sick. So they had this disinfectant spray that they sprayed everywhere. You couldn't even breathe. Well, the disinfectant spray does work. No question about it. It will knock out 99% of germs. However, it itself is a toxin. It's kind of an ironic twist that nobody really talks about much. You know, you couldn't drink those disinfecting sprays, you'd get sick. And so a lot of people, I was talking to one of my friends, she does news, and she said, yeah, I'm trying to inhale while I'm on the air and trying not to cough. And that's one of the little challenges we have when we're on the radio is, we try not to interrupt the broadcast by coughing. But when you're inhaling all these chemicals, sometimes it's a little hard to do. So we have a secret button here that, by the way, I can hit, and then you can't hear me, and then I can cough and go back on again. Inside secrets. So artificial sweeteners. We're talking about sucralose. Side effects are increased weight gain, and this fat causes you to produce the estrogen. Not a good idea. Worse than that, sucralose is one of the main sweeteners used in sugar-free or diet foods and beverages. So a lot of well-meaning folks, somebody once said, say it with me, forgive them for they know not what they do. So a lot of you well-meaning folks trying to lose weight are using these artificial sweeteners and then not losing weight, and they can't figure out why. Well, I just told you why. So what do we do about this? It's important that you start reading labels on everything you purchase. Now, if something is a fruit or a vegetable, even that you have to read because it can be genetically modified. That's a whole nother lecture. I have to do a lecture on how to read those little barcodes that are on the fruits and vegetables, tell you which ones are genetically modified. Avoid any food that contains sucralose. Stop choosing diet beverages and packaged flavorings for your water. People come to me all the time, well, Dr. Joe, this flavored water, I love it. It tastes so good, and I'll drink all the water you want me to if I can use this flavor. And I look in the ingredients, artificial sweetener, artificial sweetener, artificial sweetener, dyes, colors. Not a good thing. Just got to be careful with that. You want to avoid diet or sugar-free baked goods, coffee syrups, anything like that. So by eliminating the sucralose from your diet, you're likely going to have other health benefits, including helping balance out your hormones. How many people have hormone issues? Mood swings, anxiety, depression. Yeah. And a lot fewer headaches and allergies in many cases. So what do we do about that? I like soda, Dr. Joe, but I can't drink the sugar because you told me how bad the high fructose corn syrup is, and the artificial sweeteners are bad, and I don't know what to drink, and I don't like you anymore because every time you talk to me, you tell me I can't do something. I know that's what you're thinking. I can read your mind. Was it Alan Parsons Project, right? I can read your mind. See, a lot of music references today. I'm having these flashbacks to the 70s here. It was a song by Alan Parsons Project called I Can Read Your Mind. Look it up. If you don't know it, ask your dad. He might know. So what can we do about this? I like soda, too. When I was young, my uncle worked for a major soda company. He's passed away now, so I can talk about him. And he hooked up a soda fountain in our kitchen. And the tubes ran down into the basement. In the basement, we had these big tanks of CO2, and we had syrup, and it would mix it. We had a mixer, and you'd push the button, and soda would come out of our kitchen sink. Not out of the faucet, but we had a fountain there. And my friends thought that was the coolest thing ever. Now, I didn't like soda. I was never a big sweets guy. I like bread. In my day, I like bread. I can't even eat that now because I think. You ever notice you eat like a piece of bread, you gain 5 pounds? I'll try to explain that to you someday. But we also had seltzer, so I used to like drinking the seltzer. So if you like bubbly, cold drinks, you can do seltzer. And what's the difference between seltzer and club soda? Seltzer is bubbly water. Club soda has salt. That's the difference. So useless information. But seltzer, and you can mix it with a little stevia. Stevia is a sweetener, perfectly safe. So this is going to solve your artificial sweetener problem. Stevia, I have some tea sitting right next to me here at the studio with stevia in it. And you can do stevia sweetened sodas, which are perfectly fine, very good, very tasty. And you can buy them most stores. And now they even just have stevia sweetened, what I see the other day, cucumber lime water. So it really wasn't a soda, not necessarily a soda flavor. It was cucumber lime. And that was great too. Or you can make your own. I have a seltzer maker. Like I said, after my uncle installed that in my house, I got spoiled. Now, of course, I'm grown up and don't have a seltzer soda machine in my house. But you can buy a seltzer maker. They're about $70. But what's cool is, with the seltzer maker, you can make your own. It's a lot cheaper if you drink a lot of seltzer. And then I just add some stevia and maybe some lemon juice or lime juice to it. But stevia is a great sweetener. In fact, if you haven't taken the supplements that I've recommended, you should, because you've been negligent. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. These things are off the chart amazing. I have them right here in front of me at the studio. And it's the Essential Source is raw fruits and vegetables in powder form, prebiotics, probiotics, complete multivitamin. The Super Greens alkalize your system because most of us are too acidic. But it's the minimum nutrients you need to get your day going. And you can get those on my website, drjoeesposito.com, and I sweeten the Essential Source with just a little touch of stevia. So if you're not taking the Super Greens and the Essential Source, please do it. You know, in fact, I tell people this. If you're not willing to do anything else, you're not willing to change any other part of your diet, at least take a supplement that's going to give you some nutrients. And I consider, my opinion, the best, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. The powders, I mix them together. I use coconut milk or almond milk, and I drink it at least once a day. Now, if I have a big event, if I'm going on a date, if I'm going hiking, I'm going to give a bunch of lectures, bunch of radio shows, live appearances. I got a ton of patients booked. I'll go ahead and take it twice a day. And in really sick patients, I'll even tell them to take it 3 times a day. But that's on the website. Everybody should be taking that, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're also available on Amazon, along with my books, by the way, too. If you have an Amazon account, it might be easier. but they're all there. So start educating yourself. My website, I give you hundreds of hours of lectures and radio shows absolutely free, all on my website. So that's there too. So go to the website, spend a little time. You're going to learn a lot. Articles that I've written, drjoeesposito.com. So we talked about sucralose, and now some of you, I know how you think, are saying, but Dr. Joe, I don't use sucralose, I use aspartame. Because aspartame has no calories, so it's better. No, it's not better. Shakespeare once said a rose by any other name would still smell as sweet. Well, what that means is you can change the name, but that doesn't mean it's going to be better. And what's happening is, just so you know, aspartame recently had a name change because it got a lot of bad press, and there's a lot of lengthy, serious health issue questions that were being come up, so they're changing the name. So you may seem to see the brand names Neotame or AminoSweet. That's the new name for aspartame. Rose by any other name, folks. Just because it's changed the name doesn't mean it's any better. Now, they may sound wonderful, but the chemical compounds are aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters. Aspartic acid, when it gets into the brain, causes your brain to fire faster than it's supposed to. It's called an excitotoxin. And when the brains fire faster than you're supposed to, it can burn out your brain cells. When you burn out your brain cells, that's not good. So aspartic acid with other amino acids. So if you eat chickpeas, okay, if you have a steak, you're going to get some aspartic acid along with the other amino acids, and that's perfectly fine. But when you isolate the amino acids, that's when we start to have problems. Another commercial, right? It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. So we're isolating these amino acids, aspartic acid. Glutamic acid is monosodium glutamate as well. That's where you get glutamic acid from. And aspartic acid and glutamic acid are excitotoxins to the brain, and they burn out your brain cells. So you really don't want to do that because I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of brain cells I can waste. Phenylalanine has to be processed in your kidneys, and if you have a problem doing that, you have a condition called phenylketonuria. And that's why it says right on the package, not safe for people that have phenylketonuria because it can kill you. Oh, that's not good, is it? And then methyl esters converts into methanol. Methanol is wood alcohol. Wood alcohol is a highly toxic poison. It destroys your brain, and it destroys your optic nerve. I've had a lot of people over the years come see me, and they're drinking artificial sweetener, and their vision is getting worse and worse and worse. And the eye doctors, I wish they would know this too, don't know why. Well, you're just getting old. We don't know why it's getting worse. Buy new glasses. But a lot of times, people that are doing aspartame, it's because the methanol is converting it. The methyl esters converts to methanol, which chemically attacks the optic nerve. The optic nerve is your eye nerve. So the optic nerve is being affected by the methanol. Methanol converts into formaldehyde, which is what? Embalming fluid, and class A carcinogenic, and then eventually converts into something called formic acid, which is ant poison. It's a little dose per bottle, per can, but when you do it over and over and over again, these toxic chemicals are cumulative. So it's probably not the best thing to do, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Now, what you need to remember is biochemical chains of events that aspartame go through, once you metabolize, are harmful and can cause some real serious problem. In fact, harmful enough, many experts believe, to cause cancer. So why would you want to put something in your body that has a multitude of sins when you could do something like stevia, which is perfectly fine? So I'm going to suggest you cut out your artificial sweeteners and go with things like stevia. So again, read the labels: sugar-free, diet. These are places you're going to find aspartame. Diet soda, sugar-free coffee syrup, sugar-free cookies, donuts, diabetic treats, sugar-free pastries. And if the product doesn't contain aspartame, it usually contains sucralose. But either way, you're not going to do yourself a lot of good. And so by eliminating aspartame from your diet, you're going to reduce the risk of a lot of neurological issues. Again, I'm a chiropractor, folks. My job is to get your nervous system working the best it possibly can. And if you're poisoning it with artificial sweeteners, or what I call the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Of the 7, by the way, what do you think is the worst? Artificial sweetener. And aspartame also acts as a vasoconstrictor. It cuts off blood supply. High fructose corn syrup, we talked about a while ago, converts into uric acid. Uric acid prevents nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide production opens up your blood vessels. So if you're doing high fructose corn syrup, you're not able to open up your blood vessels. If you're doing aspartame, it's constricting them even further. Same result. Not a good idea. So the answer is there. The answer is stevia. So why not just switch to a stevia sweetened soda? They taste fine. At the studio here, oftentimes I'll bring in snacks, and I kind of see how adventurous people are. And I'll try weird things. And I said the other day, today actually, I brought in some kale chips. And some people ate them, and some people didn't, and some people didn't like them, and some people went, it's okay. So try new things. Venture out. And if you don't like it, well, just don't eat it then. You tried something new and you didn't like it. That's okay. But sometimes I look at adults like little babies. Little babies won't eat. I don't like this. I don't like that. Anybody ever raise kids? I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. And then finally they try it as the years time goes on. They try it. They go, I like that. I had a 12-year-old the other day I was having dinner with, a bunch of us. Never had a fajita. And I said, if I go out, I get veggie fajitas because I'm a vegetarian. And so I got veggie fajitas, no cheese, no sour cream. And she said, well, I like peppers and I like onions and I like mushrooms and I like, guacamole. And can I try one? And I said, sure. So I made her one and she tried. She goes, oh my gosh, these are delicious. I want to eat these every time I go to a Mexican restaurant now. I said, good. I said, you okay without having meat? She goes, oh, I don't like meat anyway. My mother just makes me eat it. She goes, I a lot of times I'll chew it up and then spit it out. I'll hide it from my mother, which I thought, yes, you go, girl. So when you try new things, kids or adults, many times you realize I should have been doing this all along. And in fact, that happens a lot when patients come into our offices. They go, Doc, I've never been to a chiropractor before. And I've always heard about going, but I just never went. And they finally come in and they start getting treatment. And they go, oh my gosh, the biggest complaint I get, why didn't I do this sooner? So, folks, if you're ready to get well, if you'd like to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the #1 Dr. Joe in the world, and we can set you up a time to come see us. And we accept patients with insurance. We accept insurance patients. Some people don't have insurance. We accept them too. Because whether your insurance covers your treatment or not, I'm going to go on a political rant for just a second, you need to care. Your insurance company doesn't say you can't get care. They just say we're not going to pay for it. Doesn't matter what doctor you go to. You know what that's like now. Nothing in the healthcare field is necessary anymore. I don't know why we have doctors anymore because nothing's necessary. You have to take responsibility for your own health. So if you're ready to get well, neck pain, back pain, leg pain, hip pain, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world, and we'll set you up a time to come in. You can either call us or you can make an appointment right online. But I want you to show up for your appointment, and I want you to come in with an understanding that you may have to do something to get well. You may have to become involved in your own health care. Oh, no, I don't want that. So if you're ready to get well, if you're not ready, don't call us. But if you're ready to get well, go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. Come see us. If you've ever been in a car accident, ever, if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. Don't risk your life and your health by waiting. drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. So we're going to continue talking now about things you can do to help lose weight. And you got to get what's called the trans fats out of your diet. Now, trans fats, you may have heard that word before, TRANS, trans fats are fats that have been chemically altered during the manufacturing process. And what they used a lot in processed foods, packaged foods, prepared foods. We call them plastic fats because they're really just a molecule or two away from plastic, which is interesting. Also, impossible for your body to digest and for your liver to process, which makes them highly likely to be stored in your body. If you're fat, and I used to be fat, if you're fat, you're not fat, you're toxic. All you're doing is storing waste products that can't be utilized to be utilized later or to be passed out or detoxified later. So what's happening is you're putting all this junk in your body and just filling up the warehouse. And you need to stop doing that because that's where the problems come in. So you need to detoxify, and trans fats get stored in your fat cells. Fast food meals aren't the only places you're going to find trans fat. That's what everybody thinks they are. They're in bakery goods, cookies, cakes, pies, even healthy breads. They're found in some health food store goods. Blows my mind. I'm in a health food store. I'm reading something, hydrogenated oil. The hydrogenation process creates the trans configuration. So hydrogenated oils are trans fats. And even if the product says 0 trans fat, the government allows a small amount of the trans fats to be in your food. Is it what is it? I'd have to look. 0.5 grams per serving or something like that can still be called 0 trans fat. So I've seen that. The label says 0 trans fat, and it still has hydrogenated oil in it. Not a good idea. So read the nutrition labels. Read any package that you're going to eat. Choose only products that say 0 grams trans fat. But be careful with that because it may be hidden in the back there because it can say 0 trans fat, but it has to be 0 grams. While you still may be exposed to small amounts, it's better than the higher quantities. It's better to just read the label. And here's my rule on label reading. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. It's just that simple. Also, read the ingredient list. Like I said, look for partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated oil. If it contains terms like vegetable shortening, skip it. They're fattening, and they're also very dangerous to your health. So when you start eliminating trans fats from your diet, what's going to happen is you're reducing the likelihood of experiencing things like diabetes, obesity, causing bad fat to get into your liver, which can clog up your liver. And your liver does a lot of things, folks. It does pretty much everything. Everything you eat, breathe, think probably goes through your liver. And if you're putting bad fats into your liver, you can get something called fatty liver. Now, when I went to school, we were taught that if somebody had fatty liver, it was from alcoholism. And now they have a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFD, FLD. Yeah. Where does it come from? A lot of it comes from things like high fructose corn syrup and bad fats and breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, hydrogenated oils, toxic chemicals. And now we're seeing fatty liver occur in people as young as 5. George Michael, remember the singer? Died. What did he die of? Fatty liver, which then led to heart disease. Young, good-looking guy, right? Good shape. What happened? He was probably eating bad foods. It could have been drug issues. Drugs can do that as well. Now, again, I don't know. I didn't read the autopsy on George Michael, but he died from fatty liver and heart problems. Natural causes. Well, that's not natural, folks. It ain't natural when your liver becomes congested with fat. It's not natural when your body is overweight. It's not natural to have neck pain and back pain and shoulder pain. It's natural to eat the food you're biologically adapted to eat. It's natural to have a normally functioning nervous system and normally functioning digestive system. So when I read the term natural causes, fatty liver and heart disease, I don't understand it. My brain explodes. I can't understand how you're saying that. So if George Michael can do it, who had plenty of money, fame, could have done anything he wanted to do in life, couldn't beat the liver shutting down. So stop putting the bad stuff in your body before it's too late. At least start putting some good stuff in your body. Can I negotiate with you on that? At least get Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are the minimum things you should be doing every single day. And they're available on my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can order my books there. Also available on Amazon. If you go to Amazon, you can get the supplements, the books. Other supplements I have, an intestinal cleanser. If your bowels aren't moving, we got a great intestinal cleanser you could use. We've got other things, too. They're all on the website. And on the website, too, by the way, we archive hundreds of hours of radio shows. That's my gift to you. We videotape my live lectures, my gift to you. So feel free to utilize any of those sources anytime you like. Read my articles. If you have questions, send them to me through the website. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. But give up your diet soda. Start limiting your sugar. And what happens is, too, sugar stimulates the pleasure centers in your brain, and you get high from it. Once you start eating healthy foods, everything tastes so sweet. And you've got to break your body of that habit. Once you get to that point, you go, ooh, this doesn't even taste good anymore. You've successfully rebooted your brain. But if you're like most Americans or most people, sugar stimulate the nucleus accumbens, stimulating the dopamine receptor sites. You're getting high from it, and you can't stop yourself. Your life depends on you stopping yourself. So, folks, if you want to come see us, we'd love to be your doctors. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Go to my website, make an appointment for you, your friends, your family, your children. If children are straight, they grow straight. If they're crooked, they grow crooked. So we'd love to make you an appointment, drjoeesposito.com, all one word, drjoeesposito, lots of O's in there and E's. Or my website, just Google it, and we'll come up, Dr. Joe. And you can book the appointment. When you make the appointment, understand there's two things. Be ready to get well and be ready to make some changes. Most people come to me and say, Doc, I'm ready. I want to get well. I said, you want to get out of pain? You just want to get well? I want to get well. Okay, good. And I've had people come in and say, Doc, I wasn't ready. I've listened to you on the radio for 5-10 years now. I've read your books. I've followed you for decades. Wasn't ready to get well, but now I am. Good. Now's the time to call my office, go to the website, and make an appointment. Most people say, why didn't I do this sooner? And I don't want you to be one of those. So we'll talk about nutrition. We'll talk about your diet. We'll get the nervous system working. If you have acid reflux or heartburn, many times it's your stomach pushed up against your diaphragm. We need to pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. So give us the opportunity to show you what it's like to be well. Most people don't. And when they experience it, they really like it. You save a ton of money, too, because you're healthy. The website, again, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Hey, folks, got to run. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show. Please do me a favor. Tell your friends about the show, and we'll talk to you next time. See 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 you next time.